Mrs. Newmeyer back again with another segment for our Orchestra and Composers unit. Now we've gone through each of our 3 composers that we're learning about this year, and today I want to talk to you more about the orchestra itself. So first let's talk about what is an orchestra. Now it comes from the Greek word orchestra, comes from which used to mean the place where the musicians sit. So they would, sit in a specific spot, usually at the front, and that was the orchestra. Now, by the 18th century, that term orchestra came to be known as just essentially a large group of musicians playing together. Now, we have a picture for you of an orchestra, and here's what we see in the orchestra here modern day. Over time, this has changed. The number of instruments, the type of instruments involved, the positioning and such has changed. For example, our Tchaikovsky, when we learned about him, the violins were on both sides. Here we just see them on this side, but at his time they would be on both sides. And at that beginning of his piece that we heard, it was almost like the violins, when they would play, it was in stereo. Pretty cool. Now, I'm going to show you another picture of an orchestra here. I have it behind me here, and it's color-coded per section. And we're going to go through each of the sections of the orchestra so you can see which instruments are included in each section. So here we have in blue, we have the string section. Then we have the woodwinds. And then we have the brass section here. And in the back, we have the percussion section. All right, so now I'll go through each of those so we can learn a little bit more of each of the instruments that are in that section. So we'll start with the strings. So the strings here are a group of instruments that are stretchly tight strings that are either strummed or they're played with a bow. And I'll show you one. I have one here. You can see a violin. And this one is played like this, and there's a bow. Now, I don't play the violin, but let me just show you. Just for example, you just play it like this, and that is an example of one of our string instruments. Our next section we're going to talk about are our woodwinds. Now, woodwinds are a group of blown instruments with finger keys to adjust the size of the aperture, which produces different notes. So the wind goes through it. Now, if you've been in CC before, you have played this type of instrument before. Do you know what it is? It's the tin whistle. So you blow in one side, you use your fingers for the holes, and you play an instrument that's actually an orchestra instrument. Pretty cool, huh? All right, our next section we're going to talk about is the brass section here. Now, the brass section is a group of instruments that produce loud, sustained sounds by air forced through the mouthpiece and through the tubing. So we've got tubas, trumpets, trombones, and I don't have one here with me, but those are the types of instruments in that section. And then the last section back here, which includes things like the piano and drums, triangles, cymbals, and those sorts of things, are the percussion section. I do have one with me here today, a drum. This one's from Africa. And those instruments, the definition I'll read to you here, are the ones that are struck or shaken to vibrate the skins of a drum or metal cymbals or triangles or gongs or strings that are struck like on a piano. All right, so those are the different instruments in an orchestra. Now, there's another word that I want to introduce you to, and that's symphony. Now, symphony refers to a piece of music played by the entire orchestra. Now, sometimes we seem to use them interchangeably, but hopefully that helps you understand. So when we talk about a symphony, like we've listened to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, that is the piece of music that he wrote to be played by the orchestra, the instruments of the orchestra. Now, we're going to be listening to a song that's called the orchestra song. And we're going to be learning about different pieces of the orchestra through this song. Now, what I encourage you to do after watching this video is see if you can sing the different parts of the orchestra song. And if you have other people with you, or if you're doing this in class, you can have each person take a different part of the song and sing a different piece, and then sing it over each other like a round, singing them at the same time, so you can hear similarly how an orchestra works. This is kind of like making our own orchestra with our voices. So we'll listen to the song, and I'm going to hold up the different parts of the song, which you can do too if you have these at home, and you can lift them up and as you're singing the parts that go along with the song. So here we go.
Drums playing two tones, they're always the same tones. 5, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 1.
All right, I encourage you to get that song. It's free off the Classical Conversations website. Sing along, get your instruments, show them as they go, and learn the song and sing it together and sound like an orchestra. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.